Good Tuesday evening, everyone. It's Weather for Weather Geeks time here on the second of the last day of February 2018. Hard to believe we only have one day to go in February, one day to go in meteorological winter. We're going to be talking about meteorological spring starting on Thursday. If you're a little new to these meteorological seasons, weather people like tidy records. The astronomical seasons don't always begin and end on exactly the same days. The meteorological seasons do start and end on the same day, so that makes the record keeping a little tidier. It is roughly divided up pretty well in terms of the temperature curve throughout the year. In other words, spring, March, April, May, that's the 3 months of the year in which our temperatures are rising the quickest. Same idea for fall, falling the quickest, winter, the 3 coldest months of the year, December, January, February, you get the idea. So we prefer to use those kinds of seasons rather than the traditional astronomical seasons. Well, with one day to go in the month of February, here's a look at the numbers as far as high temperatures go for the month of February. Now, we forecasted a colder than average month, and that forecast looked pretty good until we got into the middle of the month, and the pattern changed, and it wasn't just a few days here. This pattern, once it locked in, it really locked in. We've only had one cooler than average day during the second half of February. That was on the 17th. Every other day has been warmer than average, including, of course, these 2 really warm days last week. And then, of course, the last few days have been very balmy. It's 61 on Friday, 50s common. I mean, this is pretty good stuff for February. So yeah, we're in 4th place on the list of warmest Februaries on record at 6.7 degrees above the average through the first 27 days of the month. Of course, last February was the warmest on record with an enormous 10.2 degrees warmer than average. I don't think we're going to catch 1984 in 3rd place. We'll probably finish here in 4th place at probably 6.8, maybe 6.9 degrees above average when we close the book on February at midnight tomorrow night. All right, the big player across the country this evening is this gathering rainy system across the southern plains, although we do have some showers under an upper low in Southern California and into Arizona. That's certainly good news for them. Our weather today better than where the Indians are holding spring training in Goodyear, Arizona, in the Phoenix area. It is trying to rain a little bit this evening. All right, our big picture for tomorrow looks like this. Another balmy day tomorrow, 57 tomorrow afternoon, only 5 shy of the record of 62. Sunrise before 7 a.m. for the first time in a long time tomorrow morning, and the sunset will be at 6:12. Looking for about 11 hours and 13 or 14 minutes of daylight. And notice our rain chances tomorrow are pretty modest. We're not looking at a washout tomorrow, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we start to get into our computer modeling here. Clouds will thicken up tomorrow morning. As we head towards lunchtime and into the afternoon, real hit or miss. Shower activity, best chance might be north of I-80 during much of the day. Still that chance for a shower into the evening. Then we'll get a break, and then here comes the washout day. This is Thursday. This is where, just plan on it being a rainy day. The rain is steady and maybe even a little bit hefty for a time, Thursday morning. Into parts of the afternoon, then look what happens. The cold air wraps in. Notice our wind, little doohickeys here are coming in out of the northwest. And temperatures are going to fall pretty sharply at the end of the day. Thursday, we'll see a changeover to wet snowflakes. And we might see some snow showers lingering into Friday morning as well. As far as the rain goes, before we talk about the snow, here's a look at some of our computer modeling. Let me grab my camera here, get it out of the way. Some of our computer modeling here for the rain, most of this coming on Thursday. Most of the modeling is kind of clustered right in through about here with 3/4 of an inch. I can't rule out an inch, but I think 3/4 of an inch will be a pretty good average with the rain coming our way. Again, rainfall amounts real modest tomorrow. Most of this will be coming on Thursday. The snow will be particularly impressive with this system up in parts of New York State, up into New England as well, in the Green and White Mountains, parts of the Adirondacks, and maybe even as far south as the Catskills, the Berkshires. They'll do pretty well out of this. Closer to home, we're looking at a non-paved surfaces kind of a thing, I think. This is a look at our modeling for the Thursday night and the Friday time period. A spread here between about a 1/2 inch and about 1.5 inches. I think we could see up to 1 inch or so in some spots on the grass, on maybe your car tops, on the deck. I really don't think the roads are going to be an issue with this Friday morning. Surface air temperatures are going to be marginal, like near freezing. The ground is warm. So I'm not looking for much in the way of travel impacts from this, but you might have to brush off your car with an inch of goopy wet snow Friday morning. The other thing Friday, and perhaps probably the higher impact, will be the cold and the wind. And this will even start as early as Thursday evening with some gusts perhaps to 40 miles per hour or so Thursday evening into the overnight, and it'll still be blustery on Friday. This is going to be a return to winter for one day on Friday, and notice what it does to our wind chills. Already by Thursday late evening, it's in the teens. And wind chills will probably be in the teens region-wide as we begin the day on Friday. So yeah, you're going to have to break out the winter jacket on Friday. It's going to be a January-like day. Wind chills no better than the mid-20s in the afternoon. When we start talking about the longer range, and just a reminder that I'll do our March and spring forecasts tomorrow evening, 21 News at 6 and 11, and of course I'll have a little more of an extended, detailed version here on Weather for Weather Geeks. So we're going to talk about March and spring tomorrow night in a lot of detail. This is the 8 to 14 day outlook, so starting middle of next week and into the following week. It's a pattern that I don't think is warm, but I also don't think it's harshly cold. I like the way this map looks, showing some modest chances for colder than average temperatures in a lot of the U.S., but you don't see any deep blues here. Compared to the average, the real warmth will be up in parts of New England and up into Atlantic Canada. For us, to me, it kind of looks ho-hum during the first half of March. And what I mean by that is it's a pattern that it's going to be hard for it to get warm compared to average, kind of like we had today. We were about 20 above average today. It's going to be hard to squeeze out days like that, I think, during the first half of March. Now, keep in mind, our averages are rising in March. And so to be 20 above average by the first week of March, we'd have to be, into the lower 60s. It's going to be hard to get days like that, I think, during the first half of March. It's also going to be hard to go the other way. It's going to be a pattern that I don't think is very favorable to the abnormally cold days that we can sometimes see in March. I don't see it being the kind of pattern that will squeeze out days with highs in the 20s very often. I think we're going to see a lot of days with highs in the 30s and 40s during the first half of March. Kind of, unremarkable. As far as precipitation goes, this is the 8 to 14 day outlook showing a bit of a dry signal here. I've been saying this a lot lately because I've been getting asked this question a lot lately. Are we done with winter? Are we done with snow? And the answer to that is no. It snows every March. And it's going to snow this March, Thursday night into Friday. Again, potential for some small accumulations, modest accumulations, mostly on the grass. I think as we go into the month of March, there's going to be chances to see some snow. Do I see any big storms on the horizon? I see no evidence of any sort of substantial snow event during the first half of March. And of course, the deeper we get into March, the harder it is to get a big doozy of a snow storm. It's happened before, and we've had big snowstorms into April even. So it is way too early to close the book on winter. But that being said, in the foreseeable future, and what I mean by that is the next week to 10 days, no evidence of any sort of substantial, impactful winter system. So again, March and spring forecast tomorrow evening. Thanks for watching tonight's Weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you back here tomorrow evening, and if you want to, tune in tonight at 11 for my updated 7-day forecast, and I'll probably do some time-lapse videos and some other cool stuff on the news tonight.